Hi and welcome to Paper Crafting Tuesday. In this video I'm going to make a birthday card using a clock stamp set as well as the coordinating die by Impression Obsession. The first thing I'm going to do is a die cut in a black cardstock. So out of the die cuts in the black cardstock, I'm keeping the frame and the two hands and the seconds hand, the longer one. The next thing I want to die cut are these two bells here, and I want them silver, but I don't have silver cardstock. So I'm going to use the 3D stamp paint in silver to color a white cardstock before I actually die cut. So I'm just going to grab a brush and just apply that to the white cardstock. Let that dry, and then I can go ahead and die cut that piece. So out of this piece I'm just going to keep the two bells, so I'm going to cut that out later. The last piece I want to die cut is the circle inside the clock, and for this I need to remove the inside pieces of the die, otherwise I will never get a full circle. So I used a pair of pliers to detach the middle part. I have a piece of white cardstock and this washi paper, which comes in a pack like this. There's different kinds, but this one in particular is the Parlor, and it has 5 different colors and 5 different patterns. So I'm using the orange dotty paper, and I'm going to cut a square, just large enough to accommodate the circle. And I'm going to stick this down onto the white cardstock. It's a fun way to get some pattern paper to your project. So I'm going to lay this piece down, put the circle over that, and die cut. And there is my full circle. Before I put the clock together, I want to stamp the numbers in the middle directly onto the washi paper. And for this I'm going to be using a new ink. This is the hybrid ink pad by My Favorite Things, and it is hybrid because it can be used to stamp when you want to color with water-based markers, but as well with Copic markers. So in essence, when you have this ink pad, you don't need 2 different kinds of ink. This is kind of like the go-to or the do-it-all ink. I've gone ahead and tested it out on the washi paper, and it does stamp very well, and if you heat set it will dry and it won't smudge. So I'm going to be using that to stamp the numbers in the middle of that washi paper piece. And I'm going to heat set it just a little bit. I want to stamp 2 more things. I want to stamp this clock face twice, and the sentiment, "It's about time," inside one of them. This time I'm just going to stamp on a piece of white cardstock. The second clock face that I stamp, I'm going to remove the ink from the inside dot because I'm going to be stamping the sentiment right in the middle. So this is the second one. So now I've put the sentiment on my block. I just want to make sure that I stamp with the 12 in the right position. And now I can go ahead and die cut 2 more times with the same die. I am now ready to put the card together. I have the card base that measures 4 1/4 by 11, and as usual it's folded in half at the 5 1/2 inch mark. Now to install this piece of washi paper, there's a little trick. I'm going to uncover just this corner here, and with the 3 remaining corners I'm going to line it up, making sure that I have an even border all around. And I'm holding that corner that has the sticky side revealed kind of upward so it doesn't stick to the card. And once I'm happy with how it looks, I'm going to stick that corner down. And now I can pull the rest of the liner paper, and I just want to make sure that I don't have any bubbles, so I'm just going to go gently and stick the remaining down, and voila. So now I have a nice even border all around the card without any fuss. I have gone ahead and glued my 2 pieces down onto the card base and trimmed the excess. I used the clock just as a guide to know where my pieces would go. And now I am ready to put together the clock. This is the first piece that's going to get glued down. So the clock will be set right here. I'm going to remove the inside piece. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of that. And I'm going to position the clock where I want it, and I'm going to line up that dot over the 12 right under that pin right here so that I know it's perfectly straight. I'm going to remove that, and I think I'm going to glue this down with some foam adhesives. So the contour is in place. Next I'm going to cut the bells from the silver piece. And they will be added on like this with foam adhesives. I'm going to go ahead and do the inside. I do want to stamp inside another sentiment. I want to add birthday time. Inside another clock face with the hybrid ink pad as well, from my favorite things. But instead of going full force, I'm going to stamp off my paper until I get sort of like a ghost image. That's too ghosty. Alright, let's try this again. That's a little too light for my taste. So I'm going to stamp off once and reposition my stamp right over the one that I just did, like so. And then when I add the sentiment, just to add a little bit more interest to the inside. So now I'm ready to add the glossy accents on the clock face. All right. And I see I have a few air bubbles. I'm going to get rid of them right now. So I'm going to let this thoroughly dry. And then once this is dry, I'm going to glue the clock hands over the glossy accents with some more glossy accents. And that way it'll look as if the hands are further away from the clock face like it should be on a regular clock. Alright, so I have glued down the clock hands without filming, and I will tell you why. I'm having problems with the lighting in the morning in my studio. Essentially what I did is, after the first glossy accents coat was dry, I took some more glossy accents and I glued each of the hands. Then I gave it a final coat of glossy accents and I put a rhinestone in the middle. This poor clock, it looks like it's floating, and I want to anchor it to that page. So I'm using a Faber-Castell in the Cold Gray 3, number 232. And then use my fingers to smoosh it, or however you want to call it. And now it looks like it's grounded. I really like how this card turned out, and I also love these two. There's so much that you can do. There's different styles of watches. There's also, forgive me, I don't remember what the name is, but in French it's La Rose des Vents, the ones with the cardinal points. And there's also a more of a vintage looking hands that you can add to your clock. I mean, there's all sorts of possibility. And the die, of course, you know, whenever you're talking about a die, it makes the work so much easier. I also love the inside, and that just adds a nice touch. I also think that this would be appropriate to give as a masculine card just because of the color combination and the different elements. Timepieces for me always spells more masculine than feminine. I don't know why. That's just my perception, but this could go either way for a woman or a man. I'm also quite impressed with the My Favorite Things new hybrid ink pad. I cannot wait to test it with the Copic markers. But it did stamp beautifully, even on a non-porous surface like the washi paper, and on cardstock, obviously, it stamped beautifully. As usual, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I will see you on Friday.